You're listening to Hello, Good Life, the podcast where we help you define what your good life means to you. We're diving into the nitty-gritty of creating an intentionally good life that you love, from the good, the bad, to the downright ugly, and everything in between. Here's your host, Jordan-Hrobsky.
Hey, welcome to today's show. We are going to be talking about Q2, reflecting on where we are, resetting and refocusing. Let's dive in because we got a ton to go over today. This is going to be a lot of asking questions to allow you to reflect, maybe even giving you some things to think about in a different sense than you normally do. So I know when I started researching and creating the show notes, there were a couple questions I found where even I thought, oh, wow, I don't think about things like this. I don't think about it this way. And so I am excited to share that with you. Okay, so first we're going to do a quick review. Let's look at our Q2. Actually, what I would love for you to do is to go back to your goals if you wrote them down for the beginning of the year and tell me, hey, here are my goals. We are halfway through the year. Am I halfway, even almost halfway to achieving those goals? At least some of them. I always make a business goal and a personal goal and a health goal because I like to keep things separate. My health goal tends to be number one focus. So if I had to choose between business or health or things like that, I'm choosing to get my health goal done, if that makes sense. And so let's reflect. Let's see. I would ask, what has emerged over these last 6 months? If I were to give the last 6 months of my life a theme song, what would it be? And now, yes, we can have, I know, I had an immediate smart remark, I totally get that, but take some time to think. If the last 6 months of my life were a theme song, what would it be? And I don't want to move too far ahead, but also, what do I want the theme song for my next 6 months to be? One thing I did not do this year that I'm actually going to do as soon as I get done recording this episode is I'm going to choose a new theme song for this year. Last year, it was Alicia Keys' Girl on Fire. And I lived that. I really lived that. And this year, I did not do that. And so I want to choose something that is uplifting, something that is going to motivate me. So I'm going to do that when I am done recording this podcast episode. And I encourage you to do the exact same thing. Next, I want you to review or think about, reflect on some of the key lessons that you have learned. And of course, you can pause this, write them down. I'm going to put some of these questions into the show notes so you can come back to them and use them as well. I would also look at what you've accomplished so far. What do you feel like you have done? For example, I have decluttered our house. This is a personal one. My goal is to be more minimalistic in our personal space. And we have decluttered so much. Outside of the last few weeks with my dad's health scare, we were taking stuff to donations. We were taking stuff to our city garbage and recycling area at least once a week. And it was incredible. I can feel a bit cluttered now because we haven't done that in a few weeks. But like I said, we had a couple of health scares with my dad. So I was driving back and forth a little bit. But now that things are much better, my dad is doing okay. We can get back into this habit of doing that. And I want you to take the time to be real, radically honest with yourself. It can be uncomfortable, but it is crucial for your personal growth, for your emotional growth, for your business growth, for your career growth, to say, okay, the first 6 months, I did this great. I did not do this great, and I need to fix this. Or, man, that was a dumpster fire. Now I can adjust. Now I know what I need to do differently for next time. Another thing that I do, and this is actually a big one for me, like I said, my dad had a health scare. I'm reevaluating. Are some of the goals that I've created still relevant and meaningful to me? No, a few of them are not, because I am putting family first and foremost for the second half of this year. And I am re-evaluating how many hours I want to work in my business, how I want to show up in my business, the types of clients that I want to work with, because I want to not to reduce the amount of hours that I'm working so that I can be more present with my kids and be able to go back and forth. My parents live 45 minutes one way. My mother-in-law lives 45 minutes the other way from us. And I want to be able to be more present with them, recognizing that I am almost 40, and which means they're their 60s, close to their 70s. I want to be able to spend more time with them and give our kids those opportunities right now. So I am reevaluating. Are my goals still relevant and meaningful? Again, no, some of them are not. I need to change them. And it's okay if you outgrow your old goals. It's okay if priorities shift. It's okay to look at your values, look at your long-term life vision, look at what your interests are, and it's okay for you to adjust that. Then what I do after that is once I reflect, reevaluate, then I essentially do my best to realign. How do I shift my focus? Okay, for my personal goal, it's still about decluttering, but my focus is more decluttering so that we have space if family wants to come stay with us. We don't have boxes, we don't have things in places that we don't need to have things in. And it's really important for me to look at that way. Same for you. And then I am saying, okay, for my business goal, if I want to make X amount of dollars, I need to reverse engineer this. That means I need to either bring in this much through digital products, through digital courses, through coaching, through my done for you Facebook ads clients. And this is how I'm going to do it. And it might be gradual because I created a digital product store, which I'll also post in the show notes. I'm super excited about it. Very nervous because it's not super pretty yet, but it's a work in progress, and done is better than perfect. But right now it's not bringing in any revenue yet. But once I start ads, once I start marketing it, it'll start to bring in more and more money as I'm adding new products, as we're marketing it more. So right now it's going to have a 0 in my profit and loss in my forecasting. But by the end of the year, because I'll be doing a Black Friday sale, because we'll be doing Christmas sales, it will have more money in there. And so I'm going to conservatively forecast it, of course, but I know, okay, now that I'm starting to bring in money this way, I can reduce the hours that I'm spending coaching because I am bringing in this money that way. And so now I'm realigning, recommitting, looking at these things so that I can set myself up for success. So the first thing I do, which is what I'm asking you to do, is reflect. Second thing, reevaluate. The third thing I do is to realign. So that's resetting my goals. And then I recommit. And that doesn't just mean like I'm going to sit here and think about it. No, I'm going to actually map out goals for me so that I know what my next logical steps are. Then when I am in my CEO, or not my CEO time, when I'm in my admin time, I'm going to break it down into my project management system and into Slack with reminders on when these items and tasks need to be done. Now, if you don't use Slack or project management system, it might look a little bit different to you, and that is A-okay. Use what works for you. I'm doing what works for me right now. And so I really want you to take the time to think about these things. And then a few other questions that I had for you for your personal life. And I separated them by personal and business just because I really want you to reflect. And then we're going to discuss some of the other things I do when I'm resetting, because I just gave you surface level here, but I want you to also think about this so that this is something you can do every single quarter. So for the personal life questions, what and this is quarterly. I know I've been going from beginning of the year, but I also, because this is quarter two that we're reviewing, some of the questions you'll want to ask in your personal life. What were my major achievements this quarter? And how have they really contributed to the overall goals I set at the beginning of the year? What challenges did I face? And how did I address them? What could I have done differently? There were some conversations that I had with parents that are on activities with my kids that I could have addressed differently, or could have not said anything at all because, yeah, it just happens. And there are certain people who just choose not to listen. And so I think about this in that sense too. Are there conversations I could have had with my kids that could have been more effective, a better teaching moment? One of my daughters, I only have one daughter, but I do have um, a lot of my daughter's friends that I absolutely adore, that I think of as daughters. But one of her friends, they have reduced spending time together. And so having these hard conversations around knowing that it's okay to feel your emotions, to feel your sadness, having slumber parties a couple nights with her, um, talking to her about how there are certain things where life isn't fair, because in this instance, I don't think it's fair. And I told her, hey, yeah, I agree with you. I'm here backing you because I don't think it's fair too. But sometimes things like this will happen and the other person will get the benefit of the doubt, um, just because they are who they are. And so, could I have addressed it differently? Could I have done some research and worded it differently? Things like that. Now, number three, have my personal goals or values shifted, which we already did this one. And then number four, which I ask this in personal and in business, have I grown personally this quarter? Have I grown in my business as a leader this quarter? Have I grown in my career this quarter? If so, what were some of my strengths that I saw in me that I am proud of? And also, what areas do I want to focus on for personal development in this next quarter? So I ask that for personal and business. Now, for business, and if you have a career, that's okay too. What were my biggest wins for my business or career this quarter? How can I build upon those successes in the future? Again, what challenges did I encounter? What strategies did I use to overcome them? Were they effective, or do I need to come up with something different and more effective? Has my business strategy evolved this quarter? If not, where were the balls dropped? What happened? Are there changes that need to be made to better align with my overall business goals? And then, have I grown personally? These are very important questions to ask, because it's allowing you to get honest with yourself. And I normally, because of these, unless I have something specific to talk about with like a family member on a conversation that I need to have, or if I need to talk with a VA or a client, I keep these written down in a journal, and nobody sees these answers but me. And so I want you to think about that too. Like, if you're saying, hey, yeah, I was a dumpster fire, I'm owning it, I'm acknowledging it, but I'm not ready to share that with people, you don't have to share this at all. You get to go through this process, you get to feel the emotions, you get to not sit in it. You get to feel that. Give yourself an hour, maybe two, if you aren't where you want to be. And then you get to move on. You get to say, okay, I am ready to take that next step. I am ready to move on. I am putting together my new plan. If you don't know how to put together a plan and you do want some help, I actually offer a 3-day Voxer coaching with me. I will link that below as well. And then we will actually talk through some of these questions and we will figure out, okay, what is your priority over the next 3 to 6 months? And then we'll put a plan in place. So if that's something you're interested in, look at the show notes below and you can sign up for that. Now, one more. Oh my goodness, I can't talk today. Although I feel like I can't talk every day because it's me and my mind goes way faster than my mouth. So I apologize. I also wanted to talk about the reset because I talked about it a little bit, but as I'm doing my reflection, my reevaluating, my realignment, and my recommitting, I'm also doing something called a reset. And so for me, my human design, I'm a projector. I'm also a Capricorn with a Scorpio rising. And so I have big emotions, big thoughts, big feelings. And I'm also an empath. So I can walk into a room and I instantly feel how people feel. Maybe that's called something different. But I have friends who say, I don't know how you can feel this. But one of the things that I need to do each quarter, actually, I should be probably doing this each month, is resetting. And that means there are some simple things you can do to reset. I actually do a couple of these things daily now that I think about it, now that I'm consciously aware as I'm going through this. And so I want to give you some ideas, especially if you're an empath or you have a very high demanding career or business, or you have 2 kids like me, run a business, a home with kids in all the activities, and you just need to recognize that you have to take a break and you need to reset. So some of the things that I do, I take a break, which means that I will just stop. There are times where I will get in bed, I would say maybe once a month, and I will just watch either Netflix if they have any fun shows, or my go-to, because it's me, is Hallmark Christmas movies, because we still have probably 20 to 30 on DVR right now. Don't judge. This is my take a break. Your take a break could be something different. However, if you're like me and you are a Christmas lover, comment and I will share some of my favorite movies with you because I will and I love them. A couple other things that I do are meditation and mindfulness, and they are not the same thing. I just want to be very clear about that. When I'm meditating, I am doing my best to close down my mind. I'm doing my best to get into just the feeling and sensation in my body. When I'm doing mindfulness, for me, that's thinking about the thoughts that I'm thinking, quieting the negative thoughts that I'm thinking, being mindful of how I'm bringing certain energy into our house, into our home, into my clients' relationships, into my friendships, all those things, into my family. Like those are what I do. And so that helps me also to reset, especially from a stressful day. Once I leave my computer for the day, I'm saying, okay, thank you for serving me. It's time to move into family mode. And I am doing my best to be present and remember that my kids have not had the majority of me during the day. I'm thinking in the summer, they're at school during the day, during the school year, but I'm thinking, how can I be kind to them because they also have needs as well? And remembering that they are not my work and my work is not them. And so to do my best to keep them as separate as possible with my mindfulness. Another way I reset is I journal. Every day I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. I write down what I want my revenue goal to be. And then I actually journal on things that I'm feeling, on how I'm showing up, on if I feel like I am moving forward. It also lets me process my feelings and emotions. There might be times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe so and so said this. And so then I'll journal. Why did that trigger me? It's not their fault that it triggered me unless it was blatant disrespectfulness or rudeness. But am I making the tone up that they said it in? Am I reading too much into it? Why? And I'm going into my emotions, not what they said, because I can't control what they said. I can only control my reaction, how I feel, and how I move on from it. Another big thing that I do is physical activity. Another thing that I do is go outside. Sometimes I'll just go into my backyard and stand in the grass bare feet. I'll go for walks. I love being by the water. I love kayaking. The funny thing is, I don't like swimming, but if you take me to the ocean, I will keep my feet in the water for hours and just stand and glaze. I don't know why, but if you get me a kayak, I will go sit in the kayak and kayak around. I'm like a fire and water sort of girl. I love bonfires and I love being by the water. So really spending that time in nature helps me. I also talk to friends. It's really important for you to start building that community if you haven't, but if you have, that's perfect. And then like I said, I practice gratitude. I do that in journaling, but I also think about, okay, if I find myself getting annoyed, I do my best to stop my thought process and think, how can I think about this differently? And then I practice gratitude around that. Okay. That was a lot. I have so much more that I want to share, but I do not want to make this much longer than what it is. Please go over the reflection questions. Those are going to be so important for you, especially becoming more aware of how you are showing up. It'll also give you tips and a little glimpse into what your habits are as well. And you can say, oh, wow, I did this really well. Or, oh, I didn't incorporate this as much as I wanted to. I want to do that differently in Q3. Thank you so much for being here. I am so happy to be on this journey with you. And oh my goodness, I can't believe that this episode is done too. It's done and I'm excited. I'm also very nervous, but doing it scared and doing it imperfectly is how it's going to get done. And so I want to lead by example, and I am excited to do this with you. So thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month, and I will chat with you soon.
Thank you for listening to Hello, Good Life. To connect more with us, check out soulfueledlife.com.